Vice Minister Wang, welcome to CCTV News.
Thank you, Tianwei, for inviting me here.
What can we expect, Vice Minister Wang, from this year's B20 and also the G20 summit when it comes to trade, experiencing 5 consecutive years of very low growth now?
Indeed, you are right that trade growth has been very sluggish over the past 5 years. That's exactly the realization of the G20 members. Therefore, we have attached enormous importance to this issue. What can G20 do? What can G20 do to stimulate the global trade growth? As a result of the trade ministers meeting in Shanghai and 4 trade and investment working group meetings before that, we were very happy that we have arrived at a proposal called G20 strategy. For example, we need to do something to reduce the trade cost. Trade cost has incumbent a lot of small businesses from joining the global value chains. We need to improve the trade finance situation. Businesses in developing economies have difficulty in accessing to bank loans, even though they have good orders, but they are not able to fulfill the order because of lack of access to financing. And e-commerce is growing very fast, but there are some hurdles hindering the e-commerce development. So we need to address that issue as well. Trading services is growing very fast. This is in sharp contrast to trading goods. But again, there need to be liberalization of market access for trading services. And there are some regulatory barriers to trading services. So we need to do improvement in that area as well.
Vice Minister Wang, when I listen to you, already in my head, long list of to-do list. And yet, will these to-do be realized this time during the B20, during the G20 summit, when the political leaders are here? They should provide the political support, will they, though?
Indeed, I think there's a high expectation from the business community that these exact measures will be implemented. That's why the trade ministers meeting has reached an agreement which will be presented to the Hangzhou summit for endorsement. And hopefully the leaders will endorse those proposals. And if they endorse these proposals, they will get implemented in their individual countries. And that will provide long-term impetus for trade growth.
I think actions are urgently needed. When earlier we talked about the realities of international trade, but now, Vice Minister Wang, there has been a lot of debate going on. Exactly what mechanisms should we use when it comes to trade? Is the WTO, the World Trade Organization, still relevant? Remember, more than 10 years ago, China was working so hard to join. China benefited from it, but now, is it still relevant?
WTO is very relevant today as it was in the past years. I think we need to look at the WTO in a more objective manner. For example, even though Doha round has been dragging on for 15 years so far, it does deliver, and it has delivered some important agreements, like the TFA agreement, Trade Facilitation Agreement, like the Nairobi package. The Nairobi agreement, which was reached last year, is a very important victory for developing economies, for the exporters of agricultural products. It will eliminate the export subsidy to exports of agricultural products. So this is our milestone agreements.
Among the G20 economies, as we mentioned, at different development stages, and they're all facing the issue of overcapacity. And some have been accusing China of being a major player of providing the world's overcapacity. For example, in some negotiation between China and the United States. What do you make of these kinds of accusations, Vice Minister Wang?
This issue is a global issue. This issue is not emanating from a single country. This is an issue which has been there for some time in many economies. And ministers also agree that we need to have collective global action to address the overcapacity issue. As far as China is concerned, I think China has been very responsible in this regard. While some other economies were talking about reducing overcapacity, China has adopted concrete measures to reduce the overcapacity of some sectors like steel. Over the past 5 years, we cut the steel overcapacity by 90 million tons, and we have made the plan to cut further the capacity of steel in China by another 100 million tons to 150 million tons. So China has been very serious in tackling this issue. But this issue, again, is a global issue. It requires the collective efforts of G20 members and beyond.
I remember when you came into the studio, you told me you got a lot of things to do later today. So I guess it's time to let you go, roll up the sleeves, and do something good for the rest of the world. Thank you so much, Vice Minister Wang, for being with us.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Tianwei.